Hey everyone, I'm back. As you can see, there's a wire rack above my head now, so I am facing my pantry. This video, I'm going to talk about nuts, seeds, and affiliated miscellaneous items such as coconut flakes and nutritional yeast, just as part of a tour of my plant-based pantry geared toward my kidney disease. Just as a warning, everyone's kidney disease is different. I'm also not a nutritionist or a doctor. I'm just someone who's been flailing around different diets and fighting kidney disease for 20 years and has found substantial improvement with a plant-based diet and wants to share more about the nuances of that for folks, just to share back a lot of what I've learned. So we're going to take a closer look at nuts. So one thing to think about with nuts is often the ones you'll find in trail mix, etc., they have a lot of sodium. And a big thing in terms of kidney diets that I think is really important is reducing sodium, because sodium elevates your blood pressure. Kidney disease also elevates your blood pressure. You don't want elevated blood pressure, etc. And when I first heard that, I thought they meant like salt on food. I'm like, oh, I was 16. I'm like, well, I don't put salt on food. I have no problem here. But it is hidden, especially in a lot of restaurant food, processed food, chips, etc., which is why home cooking is great. But at the same time, you have to watch out for it in components of your home cooking and home snacking as well. So what I have here to start are unsalted peanuts. So again, you can get some very salty peanuts. These have, you can see, I think, 0 grams of sodium in them. So they're great for a snack. What I actually like, and I saw this from a recipe once and sort of tweaked and modified it, is the idea of peanut butter and jelly oatmeal. So I'll make some steel cut oats, I'll talk about that more in a future video, put in some peanuts, put in some fruit preserves, unsweetened, and then add some other mix-ins, but use that sort of as the base of my oatmeal, and I just find it to be really delicious and creamy and crunchy, and that's honestly what I use a lot of my peanuts for. I've actually just gotten a new jar here. Another one of my favorite nuts is almonds. Again, you'll see these are whole, natural, raw. Sodium here, also 0 milligrams. They are helpful just if you're looking to get more energy, I find, because of the healthy fats in them. Also, some folks, not me, but are interested in gaining weight. I'm interested in losing weight. But the more nuts you have and those sort of healthy fats, those can help you gain weight, so that can be useful. Almonds are great. Love to snack on them. You want to be careful with portions, so I go with about a handful at a time. I have suffered from food addiction issues in the past, so only recently have I started trusting myself with a handful. Before I'd pre-bag about 10 bags and then use those. Sometimes I'd even have my boyfriend do the bagging because I didn't trust myself, so that is an option if you struggle with binge eating or anything related to that. Yeah, so love my almonds. I have pine nuts, also 0 sodium. These are pretty expensive, but a little goes a long way. They're especially great if you mix them in a blender with to make pesto with fresh basil and some oil, and then you mix that up and put that over pasta, for example, and it makes a nice sort of Italian thing, and it helps if you're trying to watch your potassium and want to avoid a tomato-based sauce. A pesto one can be a good option, and pine nuts are great. As you can see, I'm like this much for the bag, and I have had this for 6 months, and they're still great. But definitely, to me, one of the most expensive of the nuts other than macadamia, which I do not have. Pecans, another great nut. These I find have a little more of a sweet flavor. I especially like toast, like I break them up and then I toast them, and then put them as a topping on a salad or something like that. A great way to crush them, like for a salad topping, is what I like to do is I put them in a plastic bag, and then I take a meat tenderizer if you have one. That's what often is used to pound down chicken and such, but I would call it a nut pounder, but that doesn't sound so great. But anyway, you know, and then you can crush the nuts, so that's great. And then finally we have, and I just got a new pack of these, as everything falls, walnuts. And I don't know, these tend to fill me up more than others, and I just really like the texture. It's like both crunchy and smooth, I find, in a weird way. So I find they're really useful. They're actually another one of my favorite go-tos for adding in my oatmeal. Breakfast for me is usually some type of oatmeal with dried fruit and nuts, or something like that, or smoothies, but that's a separate topic. So that's the extent of the nuts I have. I do go through them. Oh, I did forget one. Cashews. Now you might ask why I have a giant bag of cashews that cost me this weekend $24. And the answer is because before I prepped for this week, I had a whole cashew bag, and now I have this. So it gets really annoying every week having to buy new cashews, and so we just got a bunch in bulk. I want to transfer them to a glass jar to make it work a little better. But part of the reason I go for so many cashews is you can eat them like normal nuts for snacks, you know, put the toppings on things, etc. But what cashews are really great for in terms of plant-based cooking is you want to soak them for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then put them in the blender with other ingredients, and it makes things creamy. I mean, sure, you can make almonds into almond milk, etc., but if you ever taste almond milk versus cashew milk, the cashew milk is a lot creamier. So for example, I made a plant-based representation of sour cream this weekend with cashews as the base. And you'd never know if there wasn't any type of cheesy in there. My boyfriend might differ, but I would argue you'd never know. But anyway, cashews are great when you get into this way of eating. Like, you'll find your favorites, but I think you'll probably find that you're looking for bulk cashews. So that's what I've got to say about nuts. So now we're going to move on to seeds. And sunflower seeds. And again here, you want to look for unsalted. The hull just means it's out of its shell, which is going to make your life a lot easier. But honestly, I don't see that many shelled sunflower seeds around. Great for snacking and sort of, I make my own trail mix sometimes with some of those nuts and then some sunflower seeds and then some dried fruit, and then use that to snack on through the day. So they're good. I also use them in the creams as well. So when I'll make a cashew cream or something creamy, if you add in with a ratio of about 1 to 3 of like 3 part cashew, 1 part sunflower seeds, that contributes to creaminess as well. If you are allergic to cashews and you want to make creaminess plant-based, you can use sunflower seeds as the only item to do that. I've never tried it, but I know you can do that. Also, combining sunflower seeds and white beans as your creamy aspect to make a creamy sauce is something that's possible. So again, I go for sunflower seeds pretty fast. This is also a fairly new bag. Pumpkin seeds, you can see I'm about to switch over to a new one. Another great way to add crunch to your stir fries or your salad or your meals. Not just for fall, although we are in that pumpkin-y time right now as I'm recording this in September. But yeah, they're super useful to have around, and just really enjoy them. This is actually not unsalted, which was my fault. The new bag that I have is unsalted, but and you can see the difference. It's in a 1/4 cup of sunflower seeds, you're getting 150 milligrams of sodium, which is 7% of the average person's daily value of sodium, and if you have kidney disease, you very well may be on a sodium restriction. I'm on a slight one. The average person is supposed to aim for 2,300 milligrams of sodium, and I'm at 2,000 milligrams right now, but I have been as low as 1,200 in terms of my restriction. A seed you may not have heard of, or may have, is chia seeds. And I love these things. I've been talking about my food addiction before. When I got into plant-based, I just sort of started eating too much of the plants too at first, and I would just go to town with a spoon on the chia seeds. I do not recommend this. It is going to end up being painful later if you do that. I'll just put it that way. But putting that aside, chia seeds are great. They're very small, but I love them because they add this great crunch factor. But it's not like the nuts or like the bigger seeds we're talking about. It's like subtle, so you're getting lots of bites at once, almost like the ratio of seeds in a kiwi, for example. You can make chia seed pudding, which I find to be a good approximation of pudding. It's another great breakfast option. But I put them in my oatmeal a lot too, so I'll usually do, like I said, a nut and a seed. And sometimes that seed is sunflower or pumpkin, but I also use these other ones as well. Chia seed also has a lot of omega-3 fish oil. For IgA nephropathy, I take fish oil pills. And so I still do that, but this is a way to further increase the omega-3, and omega-3 helps with inflammation if you're fighting an autoimmune condition. And so I definitely try to get a bunch of these into my diet, but not too many. Like I would say, don't go at it with a spoon. That's the lesson. But yeah, this is one of my favorite things that I've learned about. I just love my chia seeds. Let's back in here. Find what I'm looking for. In the same category as the chia seeds, things that can add additional protein, although not necessarily as much omega-3, are hemp seeds and flaxseed meal. These I find have less taste and less crunch, but they do help boost the protein and overall nutrition of what you're eating. The one thing to note about flaxseed meal is you will see regular flax seeds, which I also have very much enjoyed for their nutty taste and crunch. But what I've learned is that the flax seeds pass right through, and so you don't get the nutritional value. Our body can't digest it down. So what you need to get is the flaxseed meal, and I very sadly dumped my flaxseed container. That was a waste of money. I'm hoping you don't have to go through by me telling you this. And so you can get flaxseed meal and then mix it into pretty much anything, and it's going to help bulk it up, give you some more fiber, give you some more protein, 3 grams of protein, 3 grams of dietary fiber, and that's in a 2 tablespoons serving here. No sodium. Potassium is 113 milligrams, which is 2% of most people's daily value of potassium, but if you're on a potassium restriction, your mileage may vary. I actually tend to have potassium on the low side when I'm eating plant-based. Not so much when I'm eating meat and cheese, but when I'm plant-based, it creates the room to have higher potassium foods, and that's one thing I enjoy about it. Like, by limiting myself on my meat and my dairy, not necessarily totally eliminating, but like 90-95% eliminating, I have more freedom to add things that I've felt have been off limits in the past. Just gotta put everything back here. Now we're onto sort of a miscellaneous part of this shelf, but I have coconut flakes, unsweetened. Did you know you can actually make bacon crumbles with coconut flakes? If you look it up online, you can make coconut bacon. I tried it last week. It was so good. Not bacon, but it added a nice sort of meaty crunch to what I put it on. Some potato soup is what I made. So it's good. There is, you will see a difference between flakes and shreds. Even though this is labeled flakes, these are shreds. So the difference, I'll show you, is like like that. And the flakes typically are a little more like chips. These are labeled flakes, but see the picture looks like shreds, so that's why I got it, and it is working out great. Also great toppers for oatmeal. I think everything's a great topper for oatmeal, honestly. This is another thing I had a problem feeding by the bag at one point. It's called nutritional yeast. It gives off a cheesy flavor. Again, it's cheesy if you're not eating cheese on a regular basis. If you taste this and then some Parmesan cheese, one after another, I'll say as a cheese lover, like, you're just gonna be disappointed. But it doesn't have as much of the phosphorus and the just things that we as kidney patients shouldn't be having as much of. Like, it's just hard to process, at least for the diet that I follow. So I love this. I even make popcorn from scratch, like from the kernels, and then I flavor it with nutritional yeast to kind of make a cheddary popcorn. Again, don't put it up against you know, some of those wonderful brands that I used to love that you can just pop in with cheesy popcorn, but it's a good approximation. What else I add this to? Oh, I make cheese sauces for like mac and cheese with this as a base. This plus cashews, which I know sounds weird, but it turns into then a creamy cheesy sauce. Yeah, but nutritional yeast, another essential. And I believe I've covered everything on this shelf. So yeah, that's what I have to share in terms of nuts, seeds, and miscellaneous for today. And please check back in for more on beans, oils, vinegars, grains, pastas, and all that good stuff. And I'll just close, sorry if this is a little shaky, but with a view of my whole pantry here. And what we just went over was this shelf with all the bags. Below the Rice Krispie treats, but I won't talk about, those are my boyfriend's, and the salt-free seasoning rack I've got here. And salt-free seasonings will be covered, but I've actually got a spice rack that those won't fit on, so I'll just discuss that all in the same video. I'll cover all my spices and all my salt-free seasonings. Sorry if I got you a little dizzy there. Anyway, this is Michelle, Kidney Warrior, sharing some information about cooking and some of the products and the ingredients that I use in my plant-based cooking to create a delicious life that's good for my kidneys. Yeah, so I'll talk to you later. Bye.